poor, the middle class, and sometimes even the rich are just slaves to their jobs, their responsibilities, and to their emotions above everything else. The hardest one for anyone to overcome is your emotions and your feelings, what goes on in your head. That is the hardest one for anyone to overcome, and until you overcome that one, you are a slave, not to yourself, but to your conscious way of thinking, because that is in the moment, and for some reason everyone values the moment so much more than even 10 minutes in the future. The biggest mental shift I've had is what you're doing purpose related or pleasure related. I call it the PP system. Well, going out with your friends deliver anything to your purpose? Most likely not. Going to be pleasure related. Well, staying home for the next few hours and working on maybe a business, maybe work, whatever, is that purpose driven or is that pleasure driven? Of course that's purpose driven. And until you can get yourself to stop worrying about pleasures and only focusing on your purpose related things, only then will you actually make anything of yourself in life. Only then will you actually be in control over yourself. Something that happened to me not too long ago was when I was out selling the other day for my company. I had closed one deal for the day. It was a fair amount of money and the day was going really, really well. It was still really early. I had so much time left in the day. I could have kept going. A couple doors in, maybe not even an hour worth of door knocking, I start to just not want to go any further. I don't know why. I even journaled about it, but still, I just didn't continue on with that day. That was me just thinking in the moment of pleasure and being pleasure driven at that moment. And I look back on that. Of course, it was a while ago, but it still aches me because I never do anything like that. And the complete opposite side of the spectrum was when I first started out this business. And this is my cleaning business, by the way. I was selling in one of the more richer neighborhoods in my city. And what ended up happening was I went on for maybe 3 or 4 hours, knocked on every single door, and I just kept getting told no over and over and over and over and over and over for 3 or 4 hours consecutively, no breaks, no nothing. This was at my beginning when I only had one other employee at the time, my good friend, to help me out with everything. And I started texting him. I said, we might not even do anything for the rest of today because I can't get anything. And of course he just said okay. And another 5 minutes go by. I kept knocking, and then I had one of those Nike Air shoes where the bottom had the air bubbles and it popped. The shoe just popped. So I was still knocking. One of my shoes were broken. I had about 500 no's to my name in that day alone. And I got started on this new strip. First door I knocked on this strip, I get a deal. It was about $170 for the deal. And then another 5 minutes go by, I get another one. Another 10 minutes go by, I get another one. Another 10 minutes go by, I get another one. So I dropped a 4-piece in this day after 4 hours of straight rejection. And I still look back on that day and it was one of my favorite days ever. Mainly because I was still on the come up. When you're on the come up, this is a side note, but when you're on the come up, it's so much more fun. Everything is so much better because you don't know if you're gonna make it or not. Of course now, yeah, I did make it. In the beginning, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know if you're gonna make it. And when you make it, pretty sweet. I don't know if this video will be uploaded before or after my next one, but I'm gonna use this story again because I love it so much. Favorite story ever. And I used it to encourage all my other sales reps that I hired later on too. That's how much of a story this is. I love it so much. But that is an example of me being purpose driven instead of pleasure driven, because I could have just called an Uber home or taken the bus. I didn't have my car at the time. I couldn't afford one at the time, but I could have just went home, laid down on my bed and did whatever for the rest of the day. But I didn't. That day I pushed, and it was one of my favorite days ever. I still look back on it and I love that day. The thing is about purpose driven things too, it's so much better in the long run too. You feel better, you're more proud because you sacrifice the moment. If you don't sacrifice the moment and you instead choose to live in the moment and have your enjoyment in the moment, say for example you just played video games for a while, 30 minutes after you stop, you're not going to think anything more of yourself, unless of course that's your job and you get paid from it or you make content. But for the most part, you're not going to care about that 20 or 30 minutes later. Whereas if you just kept going with something that's purpose driven, like you go outside and even you play sports or you go and lift some weights, you go on a walk, or you do something for your own mental health, or of course you work on your business, that is so much more purpose driven. And yeah, sure, it's a little bit hard in the moment unless you actually enjoy doing it in the moment, which is one of the best gifts you can ever have. It's one of the best things in the world when you love what you do, because it keeps you going forever and ever and ever. You just can't stop. And then after you're done working, when you lay down or you sit down or do whatever, you're so much more proud of yourself. So you really do need to give up the moment to enjoy it and to make the most out of the moment that you're in. Because if you're pleasure driven, you'll enjoy the moment right now. Going forward, you're gonna look back at this moment and you're just not gonna like it. It will not be that desirable. It won't be that good either. You'll have made nothing from yourself, and it's just a waste of time. And time is the only thing you really have in your life. You can't risk wasting your time at all. If you look at the biggest time wasters in this world, you'll never find a big name. You'll find someone who gave up, who instead focused on their pleasures, and who never obtained anything in their life. The most important people that you'll ever see in your life all gave up the moment to build something greater. Take control over your mind to build that for yourself. And if you can't take control over your life to give yourself something like that, and if you never take control over your brain to give up the moment and really work on something that brings you more value in the future and something that makes more of you than wasting it, you'll never become anything in life. If you can't quit your job is above you. Because money is the first most important thing in anyone's life. Because without it, you have nothing. You have no opinion, you can't support, you can't provide for anyone around you, and you cannot sustain anything in your life. First thing you need is financial freedom or security. I'm not saying you need enough in a lump sum to be able to retire today and live off however much cash you have. But you need to have enough coming in every single month doing what I would say, what you enjoy most. And even be able to spend on yourself. Of course, I'm not the biggest into that. I'm not always spending on myself. I rarely ever now spend on myself because all my money just goes right into my assets. Like, of course, my gold, sometimes stocks, and crypto, or investing in my business. Every single person in life has responsibilities. Whether your responsibilities are to walk your dog, wash dishes, have a payroll set up for your employees, pay taxes. Everyone has responsibilities. The one I'll use as an example for this video will just be taxes. Whenever something that you're paying for or something that you're obliged to do, which in this scenario it is paid for, when something you're doing doesn't bring any value to you, you need to figure out how to get rid of that as quick as possible. Because the thing with taxes is that's a large majority of where your expenses are. And if you can cut back on that, you're gonna have so much more money to put into everything else that will make you more money. The most successful people I know, as well as myself, do not pay taxes at all. A few of the ways you can go about this is having your own business and real estate. Now, the two reasons why you're able to write everything off in taxes on these is because you're stimulating the economy, which is what the government wants done. If you can partner with them, they're going to make your life a whole lot easier. By stimulating the economy, helping out with housing, etc., you're going to be so much better off because you will not have this expense. I'm pretty sure this was one of my longer videos, and I'm really glad it was. I genuinely enjoyed this video. I really liked making it. I really liked the storytelling in this too. And with everything being said, I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please subscribe and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care. Bye-bye.